Hey everyone, it's Sean back again. Today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, diversity. Seems to be a hot button topic nowadays, or at least it has been for the past few years. A little backstory. So, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and to me, things were greatly diverse back then. We had a lot of sitcoms, a lot of movies, and some comic book characters that were diverse and really freaking cool. I couldn't sit here and name them all to you because that would make this video 2 hours about how great some of them were, but I'll flash some on the screen. I'm sure you all know these familiar faces. Things were going pretty good. The stories were relatable. Everybody could get into it. Sometime after the 80s and 90s, entertainment got a little still. It wasn't quite cringe, but it was getting it wasn't really hitting the spot, right? And then eventually a bunch of cringe activists took over and everything just went wrong. And that's what I'm going to go over today. You all may be familiar with a channel called Sungrand Studios. It's ran by an indie developer named Jarrell. He's been putting out some consistent videos on the state of mainly the gaming industry, about design, about modern gaming, and how these companies are being run. But I wanted to comment on this video in particular because it goes over what I was saying about diversity.
September the 3rd. Where were you on September the 3rd? Where were you when you first heard the news? Concord has fallen.
That's a funny question because if you guys saw my recent video on September the 3rd, I was doing the revamp of Amari from Concord for fun. That kind of took wind on Reddit as somebody screenshotted for a lie. You guys can go look at that video if you want. I'm going to link it at the end of the video.
Today, September the 3rd, Sony has announced that its latest title, Concord, will be discontinued and servers will be shut down September the 6th. Mainstream media outlets defending Concord have destroyed their credibility and revealed a glaring flaw in the game industry.
They really were going hard for the game. Not exactly sure why. It didn't get any good reception even on its previews. Like, I don't think anybody won't. Oh, excuse me. 2,300-ish players wanted to try it for demo, and 697 people, as far as Steam goes, I can't say for PS5, tried it out until everything just kind of collapsed, didn't it?
To those with true journalistic integrity who researched and brought to light the unacceptable, grotesque behavior of those who would masquerade as our game developers, I am proud of you.
I think that could be attributed to some of the developers, or at least one of the developers, who did a backlash calling people talentless freaks if they had any criticism about the game. This is an attitude that I feel is only very pervasive in the entertainment industries. You can't do this at a regular job. I mean, you could. You'd get fired immediately, but yeah, I think in corporations and customer service companies, I don't think that would fly. I don't know why they think that that is a cool thing to do within entertainment. And I've seen it between people who make movies, comic books, and games. I don't know what it is. People get sensitive.
Talented, skilled, and deserving artists and developers have been discriminated against. Instead of game companies hiring people for their ability or qualifications, they hire based on the color of someone's skin, their sexual identity, and their political views.
I believe that might have been part of the problem. If you're not hiring based on skill and instead trying to fulfill some kind of checklist quota, are you bringing your best? I know this was all proposed so that you can give a fair chance to the marginalized, but in continuing to do this practice, you're not guaranteed to bring in your best minds.
The video game industry has bent further and further toward appeasing an extremist radicalized cult raised entirely in an isolated bubble of hyperreality on the internet.
Twitter.
The game industry has bent further and further being infested by people who do not care about making a good product, who do not understand what a good game is, and who do not care about what really matters. The gamers. Diversity, inclusivity, equity. I've said it before and I will say it again. Those things matter.
Right.
They're important. But the people who are pushing those concepts into the public space lack the maturity, self-awareness, and understanding of social responsibility to do it correctly.
Sometimes you had very universal stories. Sometimes you had stories that focused in on difficult topics, but it was all handled well. What we have today just seems to be produced by cringe crybabies, and it's just making everything look oh so bad.
These radicalized extremists are so focused on their own egos, they do not realize the damage they have caused to our culture. Never before in the past decades has there been a greater hatred, fear, and resentment towards minority groups which they think they are empowering. Instead, they are framing marginalized groups as villains and painting targets on their backs. And this has happened because of the incompetent implementation of supposed diversity in media.
I just want to take a point here to say that this, I feel, is correct. It's almost instant now. If you don't know who's making the project and you see a diverse cast, that everyone just takes a minute to think, is this going to be cringe? Because what they do is make fictional stories and fictional characters based on the most stereotypical traits, based in the worst light, based on characters that we particularly don't want to identify as, but they think that that's what we're supposed to be. Because you can only think one way, evidently, according to these creators and who may or may not be demarginalized or allies.
We cannot afford to go back to a time when hatred and fear was allowed to rule our hearts and minds.
Agreed.
No more. To you radicalized extremists, receiving millions of dollars to produce products for stroking your own egos instead of serving the gamers, I say to you, no more. There is no amount of money you can pour into marketing to hide the flaws of a product created by the wrong people with the wrong intentions. The balance of power has shifted in a way that
It
you
does seem
cannot
so.
control. Your audience has a voice. They have power, and they are your equals. To Sony, you have earned some respect by issuing full refunds to all the paying customers of Concord. This is the best course of action you could have taken. Were I to give you a review on your performance in this situation, I would say 7 out of 10.
Oh, good stuff, Jerome. I've been enjoying his channel. He's had a lot of thoughts that he's put out into the internet, has seen his channel grow. And I just want to take some time to just go over what he last said about it harming. Because what we have now is you have sensible people in the middle who just want good entertainment. Now you've got some people that reach too far over and think that when you see anything diverse, it's just always going to be cringe, because cringe is mostly what we've gotten from games, from comic books, from shows, as of late. And as such, they overreact anytime they see anything that's different. Let's say you're a creator and you're making a comic book, a game, a movie, a show, and it just gets written off because of the attitude put out by these activist creators that give us these cringe characters. Now as a creator, you're stifled, because on one hand, you've got the people who don't want to hear it, and the other hand, you've got the people who are going to think you're strange for not putting in talking points that they think should be in it. But as evident, we're no longer buying these products. How many times have we seen, who wants to see this? Who wants to see a stereotypical big loudmouth, as somebody on the internet that y'all may know called it, grocery store auntie, yelling about how she's so big that she can't be moved, screaming made up exclamations like jabam, and exclaiming that she wants to dance? Not stereotypical at all, right? Dustborn with its angry, bitter black female protagonist, which to the viewing of the gameplay, I didn't see any redeeming quality in her. Maybe there's a different way to play her, because I know it's one of those choose your own adventures games of some sort. But then again, nobody wanted to see that either, because that was propaganda the game. The Saints Row game. Well, that studio got demolished. And there's so many other examples that I can give, gaming and otherwise. Why does everything have to be stuck in this stereotype? Can people that are marginalized not be anything other than what the activist thinks they should be? Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today, y'all. Hope you enjoyed my time lapse of my original character here for a post-apocalyptic project that I'll be talking about soon. And before I go, I do have two channels. This channel here, React and Draw, where my friend Dan and I usually talk about things like this, with what's going on in the entertainment industry and the entertainment world at large. Give our opinions, and we do a little art and sketching and stuff like that. And then I have my other channel, which I will link here at the end of the video, where it's going to be more art based. So feel free to give a subscribe to that channel and a subscribe here if you're not following already. Give a like if you please. And I will see you in the next live stream or the next video. Peace out.